Slytherin!
There's not a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin.
There is such a stigma that surrounds Slytherin House. It's painted as the bad guy's house, the place that all the dark wizards and witches come from. You've just heard Ron tell Harry that there wasn't a witch or wizard who didn't go bad that wasn't in Slytherin, and a lot of dark and evil wizards and witches came from Salazar's house. That's true, but it's not entirely accurate. So it got me thinking, why do people think that all bad guys come from Slytherin when it's actually not the case? And I'm here to argue that today. I'm going to address why there's such a bad aura around the house, how its history has influenced people's negative opinions of it, and I'm going to find a couple of dark wizards who actually weren't in Slytherin. So let's get to the bottom of this myth and work out what exactly is going on with Slytherin House and its dark reputation. I think Slytherin House is awesome. I love the mystique surrounding it, and out of all the Hogwarts houses, the green team really drew me in. Believe it or not, I was once a Gryffindor in my early days, before I came to my true calling of being sorted into Slytherin, and it's really bugged me how my house is looked upon so negatively, and I really want to properly understand why. Now, it's no secret that this was Voldemort's house, and it was something he was quite proud of given his relationship to the man the house is named after. Now I feel, especially for younger Harry Potter fans, even growing up myself with the books, that you can't be associated with the villain. You can't like anything that he or she is linked to. It's kind of like how you were brought up by your parents, to always be good, to always do the right thing. And for me, that was certainly the case. And I personally believe that the changing point for me in my own fan culture was Darth Vader from Star Wars. I mean, how awesome was he? He was the bad guy, yet he just looked so cool in that black suit, and millions of us loved him. I certainly chose his red lightsaber over Luke's green lightsaber anyway when I was in the toy store growing up. However, I don't think this applies to Voldemort directly, but in a certain way for me, it applies to his wand, for example, which is so unique. It applies to his backstory. It applies to Slytherin House, and even to the Death Eaters, how they dressed, the Death Eater logo, that awesome tattoo. The mystique around them was so interesting. So before we even look at the bad guys from Slytherin, I want to say it's okay to think the bad guys look cool as long as you don't absorb their behaviours. It's the same with Slytherin House. It's okay to think it's a cool house. Its former members shouldn't put a cloud of doubt around what the house actually stands for, but in actuality, it did, for a long time. Look at what happened with Harry Potter. I know he was a true Gryffindor, and he pulled the sword out of the hat and all that, but before he even set foot in Hogwarts, it was burned into his head by two people that Harry would later trust with his life, that Slytherin was not the house you'd want to be in. Even with the sorting hat on his head, he begged it not to put him in Slytherin.
Not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure? You could be great, you know.
Harry had no idea what the house was like, only what he was told. Now, it's not every student that felt the same way Ron did. Severus Snape, for example, was more excited at the prospect of being sorted into Slytherin that he hoped that he and Lily would be placed there, momentarily forgetting that Lily was Muggle-born and wouldn't have been put there in the first place. You can disagree with me if you want, guys, but the truth is, at that point in time, Muggle-borns had no place in Salazar Slytherin's house, nor were they wanted there, which brings me to my next point. Actually, before I get to that, I have to address the Scabior argument. He was being sarcastic when he said there wasn't a lot of Muggle-born Slytherins because there were none. That's the point he was trying to make. Anyway, back to my original point. Other Slytherin students didn't want Muggle-borns bringing the house's reputation down. I can't speak for the other houses because of little to no evidence. Well, maybe the Weasleys had a tradition of being sorted into Gryffindor, but many pureblood families took immense pride in being sorted into Slytherin. As a matter of fact, pureblood supremacy, although not confirmed, most likely originated with Salazar Slytherin's departure from Hogwarts over the continuous arguments with the other founders' insistence on admitting and teaching Muggleborns, something Salazar truly hated. Some folk felt he departed Hogwarts for the right reasons, and it wasn't any secret, I'm sure. Many of the families have surely agreed with his measures and absorbed such beliefs, among other reasons of course. So Slytherin students, especially the pure-blooded ones, feel a deeper connection to being in the house. It means something, it means more to them, so it's only natural that over the centuries, in wanting to stick to their core beliefs, that they would have developed certain behaviours towards Muggleborns. Like the house didn't get a bad reputation out of thin air. However, as many of us are aware, negativity has a unique way of overpowering positivity in terms of how it affects people's attitude towards certain things. Ron and Hagrid never told Harry that the great and powerful Merlin was a Slytherin, or former potions teacher Horace Slughorn, who was incredibly gifted and taught for decades, was also Slytherin. Or how about the heroes we all know from the story? Regulus Black, who sacrificed himself in order to contribute to the Dark Lord's downfall. Severus Snape, who Harry Potter calls one of the bravest men he's ever known, a man who played his role to a T, also a Slytherin. The house just doesn't produce dark wizards, and speaking of which, why do all evil wizards come from Slytherin? Well, let's take a look at some who haven't. Quirinus Quirrell literally had Voldemort living off the back of his head. He was a Ravenclaw. He tried to kill on his master's behalf before Harry turned him into a pile of ash. We've also got Gilderoy Lockhart, who was a Ravenclaw, but in fairness, he wasn't really a dark wizard. He was just an arrogant, cocky, self-praising idiot who craved fame at the cost of harming others. However, I honestly feel that if Lockhart was a Slytherin, it would have been
pretty obvious
that many of you would have linked the 5-time winner of Witch Time Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award to the bad rep of Slytherin. Anyway, back to wizards who are associated with Voldemort. We've got Peter Pettigrew, aka Wormtail, a coward to many of you, but to me, he's an extremely dangerous and powerful wizard who will do whatever it takes to stay safe, even align himself with the Dark Lord, betray his best friends that led to their murder, frame his other best friend that led to his incarceration in Azkaban, and then live out the next 12 years as the Weasley family pet Scabbers, and he's a Gryffindor, not a Slytherin, a Gryffindor, so there's another bad guy who wasn't in Slytherin. Now I do understand that the majority of dark wizards and witches have come from Slytherin, and that the Death Eaters were basically groomed for joining Voldemort after graduation, and okay, Voldemort himself was a Slytherin, so that immediately makes the house the one nobody wants to join. But the truth is, Slytherin House demanded respect, but it also commanded respect. Students had a responsibility to maintain or live up to the house's noble honour, which, for so many of them, was joining this dark wizard who was trying to change the world for the better. And I say better in air quotes, believe me. They weren't forced. Some refused or simply weren't interested, but a lot of them really bought into the Death Eater ideology. A lot of them despised Muggleborns, and a lot of them really wanted change. In reality, nobody got into Slytherin lightly. You really had to have a strong reflection of the house's traits. Take Rita Skeeter for example. She was determined, cunning, and extremely ambitious. She wanted to be at the top for journalism. Everyone would know her name to be associated with the biggest stories. Rita became an illegal animagus in order to get the scoop. In beetle form, she'd spy for hours on people. That's the lens she went to. Or Dolores Umbridge, that awful, horrible, heartless excuse of a woman who showed incredible cunning in order to ensure that her heritage was noticed and acknowledged. She disowned her mother and brother and distanced herself from her father because of the embarrassment his lack of ambition caused her. She even went as far as claiming to be related to the Selhurst family, a pure-blooded clan who are included on the famous Sacred 28. So everyone, as you can see, this myth of all the evil and dark witches and wizards came from Slytherin is exactly that, a myth, a rumour A rumour possibly created by either side, but there are good Slytherins, you've seen the proof today. So with that being said, I really do appreciate the time you've taken to watch today's video. Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. I'll see you all in the next video, and have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever, so please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do, it's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content, so if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.